Get in the cell!
What cost can you pay for your love? In a vast Arab province, where dunes flowed like waves under an amber sky, a distant palace stood. Among date groves, a young camel herder guided his animals through, unaware that destiny had begun to shift the quiet rhythm of his life. While visiting a date farm on a calm morning, a young prince, his eyes drifted toward a world she had never truly known. Across the palms and fading light, she met the herder and fell in love. Two lives separated by walls. Weeks passed, they met in secrecy. Lantern light trembled softly as shy affection unfolded in whispers too fragile for daylight. Under a vast crimson horizon, their hands met, distance lingering like fate itself between the two hearts. Within a grand hall of pillars, the powerful sheikh sat unmoved with authority and command. His orders were to confine the girl. Inside her chamber, beside her late mother's portrait, silent tears started falling, caught between obedience and longing. In a modest desert tent, the herder's fate reflected quiet devotion, unaware of the storm gathering inside palace walls. At dusk, they exchanged a folded letter. Their eyes spoke what words could not, hope pressed into fragile paper. From the shadows, a palace guard emerged. Torchlight revealed what darkness had protected. Two lovers caught between fears and truth. The sheikh's cane struck marble with finality. His fury echoed through towering pillars, sealing a judgment no plea could soften. Through the corridor, guards escorted the young woman away. Her tears fell silently against cold sandstone walls.
Moving, prisoner.
I demand you release me!
Silence. Your
Massive palace doors closed with crushing weight, lifting dust into the air like hope dissolving into darkness. On the desert outskirts, armed guards encircled the camel herder, bruised but not broken. Alone beneath an indigo sky, he knelt upon the cold sand. Stripped of dignity, resilience remained steady. In the village marketplace, whispers followed him. Shame clung heavier than chains, yet he walked forward without lowering his gaze. At sunset, an empty livestock enclosure swayed in the wind. Absence spoke louder than accusation. Behind an ornate barred window, she stood framed by fading light, distant, confined, yet not defeated. The date grove at dusk lay vacant. Only memories lingered where love once breathed softly beneath twilight. Seasons shifted across fresco-textured walls as the young woman matured in silence, measuring years in shadows. Far beyond palace reach, the herder's tent bent against desert winds. Hardship withered his face, but not his resolve. With trembling hands, she carved telemarks into plaster, each line a fading fragment of hope. From a distant dune ridge, the herder stood at sunset, eyes fixed toward the unseen palace beyond the horizon. Within guarded corridors, armored figures stood rigid. Sorrow crossed her face like a fleeting cloud. The sheikh, now older, carried age within his beard, but authority still hardened his gaze. The camel herder matured into a man, shaped by solitude, resilience, etched deep within his steady eyes. In confinement, she stood upright, composed, restrained, masking sorrow beneath quiet dignity. A violent sandstorm swept across the desert, swallowing tracks of past journeys. Sand and dry leaves scattered across the dunes, time dissolving into wind and fading pigments. Within dim walls she coughed softly, her strength thinning like fragile paint upon cracked stone. A royal physician examined her cautiously. Behind carved screens, whispers carried fear no one dared speak aloud. The sheikh stood apart beneath towering pillars, conflict flickering behind stern authority. Weakened, her luminous eyes dimmed with exhaustion. Outside her closed door, servants left untouched food. A secret council gathered, hierarchy weighing compassion against reputation. Under the cover of night, a carriage departed the palace gates. Across pale moonlit dunes, her fragile figure lay barely conscious. Beneath a lonely desert tree, she was placed gently upon the sand. Family figures retreated without turning back. The carriage silhouette shrank into the horizon, leaving only stillness behind. Alone beneath a star-filled sky, vulnerability trembled with her half-open eyes. Wind lifted her veil gently, breath faint against the vast indigo night. Moonlight revealed her exhausted face, fragile yet quietly enduring. At dawn, a distant camel rider appeared along the horizon. Recognition struck like lightning. He pulled the reins sharply. Leaping on the sand, urgency drove every step towards the fragile figure beneath the tree. Kneeling beside her, sorrow and resolve merged within his gaze. He lifted her carefully into his arms, devotion steady and unwavering. Above her fading breath, love overpowered fear. Across quiet dunes, the camel carried them toward uncertain shelters. Within a simple desert refuge, he tended her wounds with focused care. He offered water gently, guarding each fragile breath. Days passed as sunlight shifted, her strength slowly returned. Supported by woven cushion, She sat upright once more. A faint, shared smile marked their first return to hope. Stepping into open dunes, serenity replaced fear. Together atop a dune crest, they watched sunrise unfold. Beside them, the camel rested, silence now peaceful, not empty. He worked steadily, securing the shelter against the restless desert winds, showing his care and protection. She prepared their simple meal. Her hands moved with quiet confidence, a sign of strength regained. Evening fell. They sat by small fire, sharing silence that spoke more than words. Their hands intertwined with unspoken promises of trust, devotion passing between them. At dawn, they stepped into the dunes, walking side by side toward a life they had earned. Their shadows stretched behind them, leaving the weight of past behind. The wind carved patterns in the sand as they moved forward, steady and determined. Morning mist rose, softening the endless dunes. The desert stretched before them, no walls, no barriers, only the vast horizon ahead. Hand in hand, they walked toward the glowing horizon. Freedom was theirs at last.